All of these things are contrary to the concept of reward and punishment and freedom of choice. Right? Meaning, once revelation comes, reward and punishment, or not reward and punishment, but Bechira ceases, and then technically new reward and punishment ceases. His whole desire was to set up a system of freedom of choice, reward and punishment. That the world would always be built on people of Bechira, so that a person can choose to become a tzaddik or a rasha when at will. It would always be good for tzaddikim or good for and bad for rashoyim. So that should have been set up as an eternal system. An eternal system of you pop in, you do your job, and I guess you go to Olam Haba or Olam Neshamis. I don't know how that would work.
There's no end to this, and there's no final redemption.
Right. Okay, so that should have been permanent, and it should not have any interruption. And that would have been if HaKadosh Baruch Hu would want to set up the world on what's called Midas HaMishpat, right, on some sort of justice system, to have all of the briyos of creations all the days. But we know that this is not the case. Just like I proved to you earlier from Psukim, right, that in the future there is a time of Mashiach and there is a time of revelation, right? Right? And like the words of Chazal tell us, that in the end, the Bechira will be removed from the person. And there will be no more evil in the world. Right? The sinners will be removed. Chatoy meaning not sinners, but sins will be removed from the earth. In Cain, right? This again is just to fill in just the story of Rabbi Meir. He had a bad neighbor, and his wife said, instead of davening for him to die, let's daven for him to become a tzaddik, and so, because yitamu chatoim, the sins will be removed from the world, right? So, im Cain ein sofa kavona al aschar ve'oinish. So we see that Hashem's kavona is not on schar ve'oinish, ela al hatikun haklali, but rather on the tikun haklali, on the how do you translate tikun haklali? On the general rectification, on the total rectification. So Ella, he says, Shehir kiv HaKadosh Baruch Hu shnei advarim ki'echad, but rather Hashem grafted two of these systems together. And this was from his incredible depth of his counsel, so that everything is moving towards the whole complete tikkun. Right now we're going to explain this tikkun hakloli in the future, right? In the later prakim. When we discuss the details of Hashem's hanhaga, guiding the world, because it's essential and very deep topic. Okay. So, right. So again, does he really explain why it has to be so? No. He just proves to you that this is so. He didn't answer the neshama's question. The neshama has the question: why should there be two systems? What's wrong with just once the first system, right, of reward and punishment? And he says, I don't know, but I know that there has to be this additional system because the prophets tell me, the logic tells me, so it has to be so, and so these two systems, they work together.
Yeah, but I think he's saying that the second system of the word punishment is a temporary measure. Right, to fill in the gap between
Right, so that's his
creation
proof
and the
that since I know that reward and punishment is a temporary measure, therefore I know that there's something else at play. And what's that something else at play? Okay, that's yichud.
Okay. Now the end.
That's what he's saying. Now, I think what he's saying that now that I know that reward and punishment is limited, so really reward and punish, the whole idea that he started with, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu's main goal in creating the world is Hatova, right? That was his first introduction. Now we really see that that's a secondary thing. That really the whole is limani. I mean, maybe that's what I think that's where he's coming from. I don't fully understand why he needs to say it that way, because that's why I asked you to begin with. How do you want to summarize what he wants to say? And you really didn't fall for my trap, so to speak, because you didn't start from that beginning. You didn't go back to Hashem wanted to bestow goodness. You went straight for the yichud business. Okay?
Yeah, well, that's what he's talking about.
And the truth is, again, if he says, right, when he says summarize everything until we spoke until now, he says Rotza Harotzain Ha'elin Legalois Levaris Amitas Yichud. Hashem wanted to reveal the complete truth of his yichud. No, that's not what Hashem wanted to do. Hashem doesn't need to reveal the fullness of his yichud. Hashem wanted to bestow goodness. And the only way to do that was to hide himself. When he has to hide himself, then he has to reveal himself. But if, let's say, if I would have said, if he wouldn't wanted to bestow the goodness to us, his goodness to us, or he's good to us, right? Then he wouldn't need to hide himself, and he would have nobody to prove his yichud to. Who needs to prove his yichud when you are the only one there, right? So the whole concept of proving his yichud, in my mind, only exists if you first hide your yichud, right? And so then you create a system that you got to go get it, bring it back. But that's not what he seems to be saying. Maybe I'm misunderstanding, I'm misreading it, but he seems to be saying that no. It's true that I told you in the beginning that everything starts with Hashem Hatova, but in reality it's limani, right? Hashem ever does everything for himself, right? That's what he seems to be saying. Limani, Hashem is doing for himself. What's for himself? Revelation of the yichud. And by the way, because I set up a system in which I will reveal his yichud, I will also give you a chance to kind of participate in that project. So the primary project sounds like to me now, the primary project is the revelation of yichud, right? And how do I know that that's the primary project? Because you see that it comes in and stops all the other and overrides all the other projects. In between, while that primary project is brewing, there's a secondary project is I'll give you a chance to earn something. Okay, that's what this sounds to me. Again, how do you call it the tikkun klali? The tikkun klali, to me, those words though only make sense within the world that Hashem created. Hashem created a broken world, so to speak, and now you have to be misakin it. It sounds something else over here to me. Perhaps the tikkun klali is maybe bigger than that. Maybe it's bigger than just fixing a broken world. Maybe tikkun klali again is fixing. I don't know how to say it. Not broken Hashem, but in complete. In right. It's like the Hashem has his self.
Yeah, but that means that he needs something. Which is
I don't know. It's very right. Again, we don't fully understand. I don't know how to answer these things. I don't know. But more like Hashem was almost. I don't want to say it in a negative way. I'm just thinking out loud. But it almost sounds like Hashem was bored one day. He wanted to create a pastime, so he held himself back and decided. It's like almost like a basketball player who can't miss. From anywhere he shoots, he can't miss. Can't miss. It's boring already. So he says, you know what? Let me try this blindfolded. So almost again, I don't want to say, maybe I'm saying something completely heretical, but it almost sounds like Hashem said, you know what, I'm all alone here, infinite, all powerful, let me be mitzamtzem myself and start a project. We don't understand anyways Hashem's essence, so we don't understand, but the words, I'm just reading the words, and the words to me seem to be pointing to that the revelation of Hashem's Yichud is almost like his own personal project, where, as a by the way, there is our project, of reward and punishment thrown in there. Even though that's not how the Sefer started. I don't know, maybe I'm misreading it completely. This is just my first draft of thoughts. Just thoughts. So whoever's watching, the one random person that might by mistake watch this, please note that these are just random thoughts at this point. Okay. Okay, so let's keep going. Let's keep going a little bit. I guess we're not going to do much today, but let's... Okay, so continuing. So until now we spoke in generalities. And now he says we will go into details. Yes, you have it again. I don't know where you have paragraphs and...
Yes, summary.
All right, that's the whole bunch.
Because what the Hebrew is this.
Summary, okay.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, you have it?
Yeah.
Maybe that would have been a good place to stop. If your book says this is a good place to stop.
It says it now.
Yeah, summary, chapter 7, no Hebrew.
And I'm just following the numbers.
Right.
But I hear the point that your book is making, because now he's really starting a new beginning.
Sifal of Kedama.
Right. So I don't have a Maraseichel. It just continues. Okay. All right. Maybe we should just stop here. And even though we barely did anything today, but we will. Just a good place to stop.